want to tell you one story that we received from someone not long ago. One of our speakers here at IS was telling us about people having challenges of taking a bath on the Sabbath. Some of you come from cultures where taking bath on Sabbath is controversial. That people should not take a bath, it's already considered as work. And some of you will remember that story because it was told in our church, and somebody was asking, should we take bath on Sabbath or not? And the answer was, the word Sabbath has the word bath in it. So as far as the Philippines is concerned, we should take bath on Sabbath because Sabbath has a bath as part of the word. And so we will be discussing a number of issues that may be similar to this one, that I think women deal with more than men or the children. And so this afternoon, I want to thank our participants who have come. Can we have the other microphone? Okay, there. We want to start by introducing ourselves, starting on that side. Please tell us who you are, what you're doing here, and your name, and where you're from, and what you're doing here.
I'm Elena Paul from India. I completed my master's in public health right here. I'm just waiting for my husband to finish.
Thank you very much. Welcome to our program.
I'm Rita Enriquez Green from Costa Rica. Actually, a missionary kid, so I've lived in many places, and I'm a professor in the education department.
Welcome, Dr. Rita.
My name is Janet Odhiambo. I am done with my master's in public health, doing my master's in psychology, and I'm just also waiting for my husband to complete.
And you're from?
I'm from Kenya.
Welcome, Mrs. Odhiambo. Next.
Hi, I'm from Africa.
Which part?
I'm from Botswana, where I grew up. Although I have a different culture because I came from a very international family. I live and work at IS. And what else?
Your name?
Oh, my name is Trevlin.
Oh, very good. Welcome, Mrs. Oberhoster. Next person.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Jones. I came from the friendly country of Argentina, and I'm here pursuing my master's degree in business administration.
Welcome, Christina. And as you can see, we have participants from all different countries and continents. I was expecting Dr. Rita to tell us she's from the US, but I think she was originally from Costa Rica, but she has lived in the US for a long time. And I had thought that Ms. Oberhoster was from South Africa, but I have just discovered something new. So this is news to me. All right, let's go to our interview now. What is the meaning of Sabbath for you? As a lady, or as a wife, or as a mother? Anyone can give us their answer.
In the previous panel, we hear the word responsibilities, rest, pressures. Yes. Okay, as a mother, for me, it's a responsibility because I need to teach to my kids that Sabbath is different. And that we need to make different things for different reasons. So, as a wife, I'm happy because my husband is in my house all day long. Okay. So we can stay together, and to stay together as a family is a nice part of the Sabbath. And the responsibility is to be aware all day long that Sabbath is different because we need to stay together as a family, melted in God.
Thank you so much. You are actually linking with another session that we had, which is coming together as a family, but also coming together with God. Mrs. Odhiambo, what is the meaning of Sabbath to you? Either as a lady or a wife or a mother?
For me, Sabbath is a special day. It's like I have a date with God. This is the time dressed at my best. I go to church. And I believe that somehow when I talk to God other days, but that is the special day for me. Also, Sabbath, I like it at Ayers because back home, Sabbath, it's when pastors work. So my husband is never home. But here, I'm happy because I know that at least I'll have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with my husband. So I'm happy that it's a family day, and I'm happy that he's around in the house.
It looks like we should keep people here for a longer time, because actually people get to rest on Sabbath and be with the family while they are here at Ayers, especially the pastors. I think I hear that very clearly. Let's go to Mrs. Oberhoster. What is the meaning of Sabbath to you personally?
Sabbath is a time when I can do something different, or at least try to do something. It's a time when I can spend with my family, and it's a time that I can connect with friends and family, especially family far away. And it's a time that I take an extra time to... I like to go for a walk on Sabbath morning. I don't walk as fast, but I get time to look at nature and spend time with God.
Thank you so much. Let's go to another question. Dr. Rita, help us with this one. What challenges do women face in dealing with Sabbath here at Ayers, and what can be done about it?
You know, I thought about that, I wondered, what challenges do women face in dealing with the Sabbath? I think, of course, always is trying to get the house ready for Sabbath and your meal ready. Because usually, as they were saying, Sabbath is a family day, and it's a special day, so you want your Sabbath meal to be extra special and always ready to invite people. So just cleaning the house, buying the food. But here we're blessed, many of us, because we do have helpers. So actually, I think it makes it easier at IS than in other places. So I think, but that's one of the challenges. Another challenge, perhaps, is the many potlucks we have, and trying to get ready for the potluck as opposed to having a meal at home. I think that's a little challenging. And what else would be challenging? We do have quite a few meetings on Sabbath. I especially appreciate it, or Friday evening. I especially appreciate it when we have Vespers and it doesn't go a long time. It's just a short time that you have with everyone else, but then you can still have time with your family.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Paul, what challenges have you seen here?
In my boarding school, I grew up in an atmosphere where the Sabbath afternoon was more like outreach, filled with all outreach activities and less of in-reach. So I grew up going out for prison ministry, for Bible studies outside. We didn't have adventures or pathfinders on Sabbath afternoon. Rather, we had on Sunday morning. So for me, it was a little difficult for me to digest that fact that we are not doing much of outreach on Sabbath afternoons as family or as the community.
I want to hear from somebody else who, okay, before we go to Mrs. Odiambo, let's go to Dr. Rita. Given that you have children, and I think you have children too, fairly young children, you may have a different experience than somebody else, but let's hear from Dr. Rita first.
I was just going to say, I do think some parents have challenges knowing what to do with their kids on Sabbath afternoons. I think that is always an issue. In other countries, the church has activities all day long, but
on one side, we have people who may complain, like me, for example, that, hey, I wish I could be in nature there, out there with my children, but they are in Pathfinder and all these activities that it takes the whole day. But on the other side, it's like, okay, if they are there, I can rest after working hard the whole week. So we have both sides on this campus.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mrs. Odiambo.
For me, a challenge, I can say two challenges. Number one, transition, especially those who are students. Transitioning, maybe Friday does not give you enough time to prepare for Sabbath. So that transition of stopping being a student and becoming a wife, a mother, is a bit challenging. Another challenge is how to get my children ready, especially when they are teenagers. My friend, you talk, and they have their own things they want to do. And it's Sabbath, it's approaching, and you are like, am I such a bad mother? And then you are like, okay, they are teenagers, they are growing. So children is a challenge on how to prepare them to Sabbath and also how to keep them in the Sabbath. For me, Pathfinder actually is a solution to the challenge I have on Sabbath. I'm very happy. In fact, I even joined Master Guide because of my children, so that they can also go to Pathfinder. For me, that's a solution for me, so that they are kept happy. Because back home, we do it on Sunday, but on Sabbath afternoon, we have so many programs for children, outreach. But here, it's a challenge because there's nothing for the children. I'm even afraid for the week where there is no Pathfinder. Because what am I supposed to do with my children? You cannot keep them home just to stay. They have to do something else. So I will say later what I do with them on Sabbath.
Okay, thank you so much. Mrs. Jones, do you want to add something else? Any challenges you have faced personally?
Yes, I had a similar situation like Jeanette. I think I'm having here almost 1 year, and I need to accommodate our schedule on Friday. We are used to stay at the church at 8 p.m. on Fridays, and here is 1 hour less. And I have, it's not a problem, it's a bless, but when I want to call my kids because they are outside playing during Friday afternoon, I go outside, but they are not there because the campus is very big. It's a bless, but sometimes I have problems to find them and to ask them to come to prepare. So I think I will regulate my times in order to be ready at time to be at 7 in the church. This is one challenge, to organize my reception of the Sabbath.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Soberhauser, you want to add something?
I remember growing up in my family, on Sabbath evening after worship, my mother would often say, okay, now remember, Sabbath is coming again in 6 days' time. Let's start preparing now. And I remember on Monday, we had to choose what clothes we would wear the next Sabbath. And by Wednesday, Thursday, we had to make sure our shoes were cleaned and polished so that they were ready for church on Sabbath.
This is a very good advice actually for us who are parents with the younger children. We have heard this for a long, long time in different churches, different countries, that Sabbath preparation should not really be left after noon because work ends here at 12 on Friday. I say, okay, now we can start preparing for Sabbath. We should really start preparing for it early in the week. That way we don't cram on Friday. Unfortunately, it doesn't go like that. Let's go to the next question. What practices have you seen here that are contrary to Sabbath observance expectations? And I know women are much more observant than men. Allow me to be a little biased. What are some of the things that you have seen around that you feel like, this is really not what I would have expected from, yes. Let's go to Dr. Rita first.
Well, it's interesting that you should bring that up because just today, that conversation came up about Sabbath and what we do on Sabbath, not related to this program we were going to have, but I listened to them, and one of them said, it's really hard for me to get used to seeing people cleaning their car here at IS on Sabbath. And so I think for some people, depending on where you were brought up, I know when I was brought up in a Spanish country before going to the U.S., and even in parts of the U.S., they're very conservative. And you would never think of washing your car on Sabbath, and you would never think of playing ball or playing a game on Sabbath. But I went to France for the first time as a teenager, and I went to a school there. And Sabbath afternoon, the first thing we did, we went on a hike, and it didn't bother me. I was used to that. But then they started playing leapfrog, and I'm like, really? They do that here on Sabbath? But I knew it was a different country, and so I just, watched and wondered about things like that.
Okay. I'll ask Mrs. Oberholzer to intervene also. Given that one of your responsibilities here is really to kind of look over things and what is happening around, what have you seen that you just feel like, man, they shouldn't be here on Sabbath? And this is the time to talk about it without hurting anyone.
Okay, you asked for it.
Yes.
One of the things that really bugs me is that parents will sit in church and let their kids run around. Or parents will not know where their kids are in church, and I happen to see what they are doing outside of church or around the church. I grew up that families went together to church, whether it's Friday evening, Sabbath. Going to church is family. Keeping Sabbath is a family-oriented thing. Yeah. Listen, boy. And so this is something that really bugs me. I have talked to some parents. I have talked to some children. I have dragged some children around in church a few times and outside of church. And it's not because I'm trying to be critical. It's because I feel that sometimes this is out of our control. I particularly do not like the current Sabbath school church situation. One of the reasons is that parents go to Sabbath school, the adult Sabbath school children go to their Sabbath school or walk around the campus because their parents are sitting in church. And when it comes to divine service, there's no place where the parents are sitting. So the younger children or those that are mobile go and sit with their friends or walk around or hang around outside, and they don't even many times get into church because then there's no seats. So this is, to me, is a big problem. And I think it's not just Sabbath observance is not only what we do after church, it's what we do in church as well. And for small children, yes, we expect them to sit quietly and be well behaved in church, but that's not they are not at that developmental level yet. So take something to church, something special, have a special Sabbath bag for your child so that they can participate and learn and have something to occupy themselves instead of just expected to sit still, which they're not capable of doing.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Paul, what has shocked you here that you just feel like, this shouldn't be happening?
Kids playing with skateboards, bikes. When I tell my kids not to do certain things, activities, like play activities on Sabbath, my friends are doing so they're kind of pressured to go out and do. Many afternoons I would like to spend time with them, doing some Bible activity, but they would just want to go out with friends. So that's one challenge. And also in the church, kids with gadgets. I don't know what they do, but
Parents, let's get the Bible gadgets for the children if we must take those gadgets out there.
The maids, I had a house helper back at home who lived with me for almost 2 years. On Sabbath, we had this understanding that she would not do any work on Sabbath. We would do all the cleaning, washing, everything before or after Sabbath. No cooking. So she gets her day off. She can do what she wants, Even in the church, we don't give her work to take care of the babies while we sit and listen to the sermon. So that's one thing we have to be a little more cautious about those who bring helpers to church.
These are very practical guidelines that can really help us. But I want us to move to something else here. What are your thoughts, and we're going to start with Mrs. Jones on this one. What are your thoughts about these activities on Sabbath, like cooking, taking a bath, ironing, musical instrument practice, taking a long nap? These things, can we do that on Sabbath or shouldn't we? And why? Oh, why not?
I like taking a long nap on Sabbath, but you know, I think that in the previous panel someone mentioned the letter and the spirit. So I think that we need to balance and we need to be focused on the motive of why we are doing such things. For example, I'm going to take a Sabbath because I need to be clean to go to the church. So for me, it's a must to take a shower. And cooking, you know, if I can prevent and make the hard things on Friday, I will do it. But I don't have problem to add rice, to invite people for me. But, you know, I am a postmodern person. But my grandma, for example, she didn't cook on Sabbath. And so I need to pay attention which is our motive, and if we are doing things connected with God, God is going to show us what to do or what not to do. You know, in my country, for example, more postmodern people than me used to go and to lunch after church to a restaurant, for example. For me, this is bad, but for my grandma, it's bad that I prepare rice on Sabbath. So I think that the limits are moving on.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oberhorster. Should we take a bath on Sabbath?
I grew up in the bush
Okay.
where we didn't have electricity. We didn't even have water. We had to carry water, so we had to heat the water if we wanted a bath. So for me to have a bath on a Sabbath morning would have been a real work. So always on 5 o'clock on Sabbath, Friday afternoon, we would have a family bath. I mean, because we all have to use the bath water because there's very little water, and so you heat the water and you bath. So yes, in that situation, bathing on Sabbath would have been bad. Today, I can walk into my bathroom and turn on a tap, faucet, and I have hot water and I can bath. So I don't have a problem bathing on Sabbath because I want to be clean when I go and meet God. I want to feel refreshed. However, for us here at ICE, taking a bath is very different than somebody in a village far away where they have to carry water, heat it, etc. So I think there is a difference. For some who feel that it's not part of their Sabbath keeping ritual to take a bath, that's fine. I'm not going to criticize them, and I hope they won't criticize me.
Thank you so much. Dr. Rita, any of those factors that we highlight there that we should avoid on Sabbath?
Well, again, I think it is a cultural thing. But when I grew up, we did not cook on Sabbath. Everything was cooked ahead of time. You already knew and were salivating for Sabbath. So that was all. We also happened to take our bath on Friday, although I don't think there's anything wrong. If it's very hot and you're perspiring, I think it's a good thing to take a shower. Ironing, that was definitely a no-no. You were not to take the ironing board out. Musical instrument practice. You know, I remember people practicing before church all the time, so I guess I never thought about that.
But how about practicing for, not necessarily, this is just for you to learn the instrument, and not practicing for church. I think that's a different story. Practicing for, refining your skills, like on a regular basis.
No, that would not be acceptable in our family, because Sabbath is a different type of day, and whatever you do during the week, you don't do on Sabbath. So you would never do assignments on Sabbath. That would definitely be a no-no. Even Bible assignments, that's just not, And it's interesting. I think I have been very blessed that I was born in an Adventist home, so that has not been hard for me to divorce what I do during the week. I mean, it would never enter my mind to grade a paper or to get something ready for class. It's just, your mind doesn't even go there on Sabbath. So,
Thank you so much. Let's travel to Kenya with Mrs. Odhiambo. You are a minister's wife, and the whole week you are very, very busy. Shouldn't Sabbath afternoon be the time where we just take that long nap from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. before sunset?
For me, I think it depends on where I am. Okay. Let's say I'm here. If there is ministry to be done, you better do the ministry. Like, for example, when we have women ministries to the prison, or you are going to visit the children, the ADHD children, or wherever you are going to do for the women ministry or part of the church, I'll say it is fine. But if you don't have something to do, or you did not plan, and especially for my children, instead of them being out there running around, there is no pathfinder, I don't know where they better sleep. Yes, I prefer that they better have a nap to rest, because also for me, Sabbath is a day of rest. I'd also not mind taking a nap when it is Sabbath if I did not plan to do something else. I think sleeping will be better than going out there to do something else which might not be beneficial. But if I need to visit somebody, or if I arrange, it is better to do that than.
Mrs. Paul, is it really wrong to take a nap at all on Sabbath afternoon? Because I've heard people when they say, I know you guys are taking a nap, sleeping in a Sabbath afternoon, and it's like, you're the worst person on campus because you're taking a nap. Yeah. Is it really bad? You are a minister's wife too. You can educate us.
As a minister's wife, when my kids were very small, like babies, in like 1 year, or infants and that age, they were always under my care, and my husband was very busy with church activities, and I was totally fulfilling the motherhood role, which I believe is ordained by God, and I took it as a ministry itself. I didn't feel guilty that I'm not working out. But at the same time, when it comes to nap, these kids, my babies used to wake up or sleep, wake up 2-3 times in the night. So that means daytime we need a nap. So when they rest, I rest. That is one thing. But now the kids have grown up. My thing, whatever I do, it revolves around the kids. So when they are awake, we engage ourselves in some kind of an activity, like a Bible puzzle or reading a story or something. But if they are sick or something like that, we take a nap. So it depends on the situation.
Now that you have started that specific aspect of our interview, I want to go to the next question. How can Sabbath be made more special for our children in our homes and on our campus?
I would like to take my kids into the nature. I love nature. My father we used to spend a lot of time by the seashore sometimes gazing at the sky, admiring God's creation. Thank God we didn't have gadgets for our distraction those days, but we spent a lot of time in nature and also in outreach activities. So I would want that for my kids, something away from the usual things that they do.
Let's go to Dr. Rita. Practical guidelines, things to make Sabbath very special for the kids, so that the next Sabbath, they're looking forward for the next Sabbath. Not something like, oh, it's Sabbath again.
Well, my dad was a pastor, and the best time, there are several things I loved about Sabbath. One was when we had Sabbath company. And even if there were pastors, because they would tell the most amazing stories, and that was so exciting. And then have Dad spend, I could not understand as a child anyone taking a nap. That was like, what? No, let's go, let's do something. So when Dad took anytime, I think kids enjoyed time with their parents, no matter what. But as a child, one year we went to Andrews University, and I've been meaning to find out if they still do this. I don't know if they do. But I remember Sabbath afternoons after lunch, my parents could take me down to the church, basement of the church there, and I heard stories like from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. we were mesmerized, and I thought I died and gone to heaven. That was the best thing that could happen to me on Sabbath as a kid. I just loved it. It was just, I thought, oh, if I could do this, I couldn't wait for the next Sabbath to come to see what the stories were. And I'm sure my parents, I have no idea what they did, but I wouldn't doubt that they took a long nap.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Odiambo.
For me, what I do, number one, it is the day I'll make special meals for my children so that they know that the Sabbath is separate from other days. And second, I try to spend time with them. So for example, sometimes they like some Christian movies. On Sabbath afternoon, if we are not going out to do some evangelism, we sit down and watch with them the movie, and then after that, everybody will say what they have learned. Another way you can, okay, the most important thing is that I let them decide, because my children are a bit big, so like you cannot impose on them what you want. So we discuss. So on Sabbath, what could you like to do? Then they will say. So we spend time together, whether out or indoors. We try and make special meals for them. And also we try to answer some, because there are some things they don't understand, some Bible things. That's when Dad has a lot of time to answer. He has to answer some questions which they don't understand, because my daughter said that when they are out there, people know they are SDAs, and then they tend to think that they know everything about the Bible, so they come asking. So they want to be prepared. So on Sabbath, that is the date with the pastor in the house to answer them now. So that is how we spend our time.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Oberhoster.
Some of the things we did with our children and happened when I was growing up is, especially on a Friday evening, we would read stories or build a puzzle and discuss all sorts of the things going on in each other's lives at that time. Many times on a Sabbath, we would take a walk, Sabbath afternoon after lunch. After the walk, sometimes we would take a nap, or we would find some other activities. Because I kind of grew up in a hospital, there were always sick people to go and see in the hospital, as well as my dad had a prison ministry going. So we always had something to do. Being here at IS, we have more challenges, because there's not much place to walk except around the circles we walk around every day. And yes, reading books, taking a nap, spending time doing some activity together with the family is very important.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jones.
Usually with my family, we used to went outside in the nature, but here you says we have a little space to stay, and it's a little difficult going outside. So I'm very thankful because of the adventure is on Sabbath. In my country also is on Sunday, like in India. But here is on Sabbath, so I'm happy for that. And I would like to have some special groups, maybe playing the guitar, or for example, today my kid says, "Mom, today I'm going to take Bible studies." Where? With whom? So I was happy that someone has the initiative to invite them to do something. So I would like to have more groups like this. You know, my kid has a guitar and he is a little lazy. But if I know that if there is more friends with the guitar and they spend time playing together during Sabbath hours, maybe they will be worshiping God and doing something different, focus with God as center.
Thank you so much. We'll go to our last question. What can be done to make Sabbath more enjoyable for women here at IS? I want your creativity, and everyone will tell us in about a minute or two what can really be done that any woman who comes to IS will say, IS was the best Sabbath experience for me. Let's start with Mrs. Jones, and then we'll go to that side.
Okay, I'm happy with this experience. I would like to have more of this. just asking other ladies, what do you do on Sabbath in your culture? What woman ministry does on your church? How do you face these challenges on your country? So for me, it would be nice to know more about other countries and how women's.
And how do you think we can do that? Are you thinking more of like having a women's club where they can talk on Sabbath afternoon, or can you suggest some practical way of doing that?
You know, I found that we are all Adventists, or most of us here, but we live maybe in the same building and we do not talk each other. Yeah. So it's different in my country, you know, I know my neighbors. And so it is easier when you know all the members in your church to join. But here, every Sabbath, I saw new people. You know, I don't know if they are visit or if they are my real sister, you know. So I think, I don't know how to start. Maybe your building, maybe your classmate. Okay. I don't know, maybe the parents of your kids. Okay. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think what she's saying here is that women need to kind of get together from time to time and be able to share some more ideas and get to know each other, really. Let's go to the next one. Thank you so much.
I heard what Sunya said earlier. Because his wife looks after the children 6 days a week. He takes part in the 7th day.
Yeah.
And I think for many women, there's a lot of expectations on them here at IS. We have to go to women's ministries. The women have to take care of the children. The women have to provide the food and cook the food. It would be very nice if it became a team effort on Sabbath, since the husband is not studying either. I think that would be helpful to many of the women.
And especially, especially here at IS, that we see a number of people, husband and wife are working, or husband and wife are studying, both of them. And so this is a very good point to have a team effort. Yes?
Many times, we always think the woman is responsible for food. This is her job. But if she's working and if she's studying, she is just as busy as the husband.
That's correct.
I know in some cultures, and in the culture I come from, it is the woman's responsibility to take care of the children, to clean the house, the laundry, etc., etc., etc. However, the husband also expects that by Friday evening and Sabbath, that his wife will look all beautiful and be all loving and kind and friendly to him, because now she's on holiday, right? She's at Sabbath, but by that time she's already so worn out that there's a lack of enthusiasm in her for Sabbath and for other relationships. So that time it's better to take a nap so that she can be refreshed, so she can spend quality time with the family.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Odiambo.
I think if we get some programs whereby women are involved, like for example today we had the Women's Prayer Day, International Day. There are some ladies who had never gone to the front there to do something, and they were very happy. So I think if we get some programs whereby women can be involved, it will be enjoyable for them. Another thing is that if we get to visit like prison or wherever, some ministry, there is a fulfillment somebody gets from doing some, let me not charitable work, something, service for God. There's some fulfillment that you get from doing that. So I will say if women are given the opportunity to do such things, it can be helpful. Also, I could like to say that it will be enjoyable, or for me it's enjoyable when we have like women groups, even if you are 3 or 4, whereby you can pray together. Apart from that, you can come together and share. You know, I found out that some of us, or us ladies, we have so much in us. You know, you are the wife, you are the student, you are the mother, you are the housekeeper, you are you are everything. Yeah. So I think if you have some platform whereby you just talk and then you release your attention, you share and then you pray together, and you have some, like, or you can arrange to have your sports thing on Sunday, but you can do something to talk out, because talking out really helps a lot. I think that Sabbath can be very enjoyable for women, so that by the time you're going back in the evening, you feel like, when will the next Sabbath come?
Very good, very good. Thank you. Yeah, you want to add something?
I just want to add something she says. Sometimes we expect people to make these programs for us. However, some of us can really take the initiative to do something. I was just talking to a mother this past week, and she said, sometimes I just wish I could take a nap. So if you know your neighbor has a small baby or child that needs to be entertained, maybe you can offer to take the child for an hour or so that mother can get a rest and a break too.
Very good point, Mrs. Oberhorster. Here at IS, I've not seen an institution like this where you are really free to explore ideas, new ideas. And in fact, this is how even this United in Diversity started, because I just felt like there was a need for us to have an open platform to discuss culture, because there was a lot of cultural misunderstanding. And the program is on just because I decided to do that. And of course, it's God's planning, I'm sure. But we are not prohibited to start something new if it is going to benefit our community. And so let's move into action and actually start implementing some of these ideas. And we'll see our community actually getting better and better. Dr. Rita.
The two things I had in mind have been touched on, but I think one of them, again, is the idea of husbands specifically helping their wives with something on Sabbath. Just surprise them. You know, honey, from now on Sabbath, I'll do the dishes. Awesome. Or I'll set the table, or whatever. Or maybe help the kids to set the table. So just to take, maybe it could be a different thing each Sabbath. That would be kind of fun to do. And I think another thing that would help women, like I said, many times they don't know what to do with their kids. And kids always want to do something. And so depending on their age, maybe there are people that can start, as you say, some activities. When they're younger, storytelling is, they love it, or crafts. When they get a little older, discussions with people they look up to is very important. So starting some programs on Sabbath afternoons would be very exciting for parents and mothers.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Paul.
I would like to see some Bible studies and prayer sessions to be more taking place on Sabbaths for women. Not necessarily to be organized by the church, but independently we can do it on one-to-one basis.
Thank you so much. Let's put our hands together for our scholars here who have shared so much with us. Basically, we have learned here that Sabbath, to make Sabbath special, it should never be the work only of the women. It should be a team effort within the family, and we need to be creative in involving our children and making, creating activities that will be really uplifting and helping us be reconnected as a family, not only to one another, but reconnect with God. We will be having another session, and that session we'll be looking at modern issues of Sabbath observance. For example, is it okay to be on social media on Sabbath? How about watching movies? How about all kinds of music? Don't go, stay around, and we will be having another session that will be so exciting. Again, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much.